a man, covered in wounds, looked at the woman in front of him, his voice trembling with pain and disbelief. Why did you betray me? I'm your brother. That woman was Shin Shuoyu, the very sister who betrayed our protagonist, Shin Fong. She didn't just betray him. She stole his eyes that contained a terrifying, hidden power. Brother, don't joke around. We're not even related by blood. Then, a man slowly appeared. He was Song Fei, Shin Shuoyu's real biological brother. He looked at Shin Fong and said, "Thanks, dude. Because of you, my sister and I can finally live happily on this artifact." The truth was cruel. Those eyes were no ordinary eyes. They were divine artifact, an extremely rare treasure, only obtainable by chosen individuals. And that was the reason they betrayed him. Without wasting a single second, Song Fei stepped forward, ready to end him. Shin Fong fought back until the very end. His anger burned fiercely. His trust had been betrayed, and his artifacts stolen. But his body had already reached its limit. And in the end, he died. Year 2025. A cursed game was released. Anyone who fell asleep was forcibly dragged into the game world. Inside this game, lifespan became the currency. Die in the game, and your lifespan decreases. Kill someone, and your lifespan increases. Some players grew so powerful, they could even bring their abilities back into the real world. And just like that, the world descended into chaos. Shin Fong fought desperately through countless battles. After enduring unimaginable hardships, he finally obtained the divine artifact, the Eye of Judgment. But who would have thought his success would be betrayed by his own sister? Both of his eyes were ripped away. As his vision faded, he made a vow: "If I ever live again, I will have my revenge." Suddenly, his eyes opened. He gasped and checked his body in shock. What the hell? Wasn't I already dead? He grabbed his phone and froze. The year was 2025, meaning he had returned to the past. Right at the moment the cursed game was released. Bang! The door was kicked open violently. His sister stormed in angrily. "Hey, Shin Fong, why didn't you answer my calls?" She continued yelling, trashing his room arrogantly. Usually, Shin Fong would stay silent. This time, slap. He struck her across the face. She fell to the floor crying. "That hurts, Shin Fong." But he didn't care. With a cold gaze, calm, almost like Sung Jin Woo, he said, "Leave. I don't have time for your nonsense. If you keep talking, I'll crush your mouth." He threw a credit card onto the floor. "Take it. All of it. I don't need a single cent. That money is our parents' inheritance. Use it however you want. But remember this. From today onward, we are no longer siblings." Without hesitation, Shin Fong took sleeping pills and swallowed them to begin his path of revenge. Soon, he arrived at the Career Choice Hall. This was where players chose their class. In his previous life, he chose warrior to protect his sister. Strong, but inefficient. This time, he would fight alone. He chose the class assassin. Suddenly, a notification appeared. Divine artifact, Eye of Judgment, has been successfully bound. He had reclaimed his power. He also obtained a unique attribute, Authority of Judgment. Then, a black force suddenly surged into his body. System notification: "Congratulations. You have obtained a hidden job." The system began specialization. His hair turned white. A dense black aura surrounded him. He could feel it, an overwhelming power flowing through his body. The skill he possessed was among the rarest in the entire game. Authority of Judgment, the most ancient and original authority in the universe. A power capable of surpassing the laws of the world itself. After the class selection ended, the system asked for his name. He typed Shadow. Moments later, the system began teleporting him to God's abandoned realm. Chaos erupted everywhere. Players screamed in confusion. They only wanted to sleep, yet they were forcibly dragged into the game. Suddenly, a group of adventurers appeared in front of Shadow. They looked defeated, barely alive. Is anyone supposed to survive here? The monsters are way too strong. A woman stepped forward and asked, "Do you want to join our party? We're short on people and too weak to fight alone." Shadow didn't answer. He simply walked away. She couldn't accept his arrogant attitude and wanted to see with her own eyes how this man would die. When facing a monster alone, without saying a word, Shadow began walking away from them. But the woman quietly followed him from behind. This game wasn't forgiving. The monsters here were not ordinary creatures. Even level 1 monsters were strong enough to kill beginners easily. Shadow noticed it instantly. Someone was tailing him. In the next second, he activated his skill, Shadow Sneak. And just like that, he vanished. The party stopped in confusion. Where did he go? They had no idea. Shadow Sneak allowed its user to disappear completely for several seconds. Moments later, Shadow arrived deep inside the forest. He opened his status window. Every player in this game received 10 initial stat points. But Shadow noticed something unusual. He still had 5 in use points. Without hesitation, he went all in on agility. At the early stage of the game, agility was everything. Suddenly, Shadow saw something strange. Behind a tree, a monster was feeding, devouring the remaining lifespan of its victim. It was a crawler-type monster, level 1, normal difficulty. But then, the monster turned aggressive. It rushed forward, attacking everything nearby. Shadow calmly stepped back. Just one step. dodging the attack effortlessly. He drew his weapon. The monster continued charging toward him. Then, something horrifying happened. The creature began to evolve. Its head started splitting open, slowly, violently, but before the evolution could finish, Shadow crushed its head from above. Stealth break strike. 1 attack, 1 kill. The monster collapsed instantly. Plus 10 EXP acquired. A new skill appeared. Backstep. Damage increases twofold when attacking from behind. Not only that, he gained 3 days of extra lifespan, which could be sold. His total lifespan increased to 54 years and 155 days. Then, something even more terrifying activated. Eye of Judgment, Authority awakened. Along with it, another hidden skill emerged. Infinite Evolution. A secret skill. Each time Shadow defeated a monster, he gained evolution points to strengthen his abilities. The points increased by 5 every 24 hours, and defeating higher-class monsters guaranteed even more. Current evolution points remaining. 5 points. Without wasting time, Shadow immediately upgraded. Shadow Sneak. Backstab. Suddenly, someone appeared behind him. A lost couple had wandered into the forest. The man said confidently, "Don't worry, I'll protect you." But above them, something was watching. A massive spider monster, clinging silently to the trees. Shadow disappeared instantly. The spider dropped right onto the couple. No chance to fight back. Both of them were devoured alive. Shadow observed carefully. The monster's name appeared. Nurturer. A powerful spider-type monster. HP, 1600. For beginner players, this monster was nearly impossible to defeat. But for Shadow, it was the perfect test subject. With full force. Stealth break strike. The attack landed cleanly. Immediately after, Shadow vanished again using Shadow Sneak. Damage dealt, 338. The spider shrieked. Confused. Enraged. It searched desperately for its attacker. Shadow watched from behind fallen tree. Then, a blue light shot through the air. Bam! A stone smashed into its body. Damage, 300. Shadow had thrown it. With all his strength, even a simple rock became a deadly weapon. Attack. Disappear. Observe. Again and again, until finally, the monster collapsed. Dead. Suddenly, in the central city, a global announcement appeared. Player, Shadow, has defeated the spider monster, Nurturer, ranked number 1. Level up, level 2 achieved. Every player froze. Cold sweat ran down their faces. How was that possible? We died just fighting normal monsters. No one could believe it. Meanwhile, Shadow calmly collected his rewards. Plus 46 lifespan units acquired. All sellable. He also obtained Skill Book, Greedy Hand, along with several stat bonuses. Greedy Hand increased loot drop effects by 20%. Shadow didn't smile, but deep inside, his revenge had officially begun. Meanwhile, in the real world, chaos suddenly erupted. People began shouting, panicking. A classmate of Xiao Yu suddenly started turning transparent. His name was Zhang Wei. At first, they thought it was a joke. But when his friends checked the news, this wasn't happening in just one place. It was happening all over the world. People were randomly becoming transparent. Back inside the game, Shadow calmly checked his rewards. He had successfully obtained the new skill Greedy Hand, gained plus 2 evolution points, and received 46 days of lifespan, all tradable. Shadow already knew what this meant. The real world was falling into chaos. That was why he needed to move fast. Very fast. Shadow set a clear goal. Reach level 10. Because once a player reached level 10, game equipment could be extracted into the real world. As Shadow moved deeper into the area, he encountered several players locked in battle with monsters. These weren't ordinary players. They were members of a hidden class party. At the front was a shield user named Wang Meng. Behind him, a magic user with the hidden class prophet, an archer with the hidden class sharp eye shooter, and a healer, an oracle priest. Even so, their combined strength wasn't enough. They were struggling against a level 2 monster. And then, things got worse. From the bushes, new monsters emerged. Mud-type creatures known as corruptors. One man rushed forward to attack, but his strength wasn't enough. His sword got stuck. The mud swallowed him. Sticky, foul-smelling, the party was trapped, just as they were about to be overwhelmed. Shadow moved. In a single instant, the mud monsters were slain. At that moment, a new skill unlocked. Venom Dart, a passive skill that infused weapons with poison damage. Without hesitation, Shadow upgraded it to level 2. Suddenly, Wang Meng was struck down. He screamed in pain. Run! Save yourselves! But before the monster could finish him, a dagger flew through the air. The monster's head shattered. It let out a painful scream. Poison spread through its body. Slowly, its movements weakened, until finally, it collapsed. Wang Meng struggled to his feet. He looked around desperately. To whoever saved me, thank you. I swear, I'll repay this debt someday. Shadow didn't respond. He simply stepped forward and collected the loot. This time, he activated Greedy Hand. The results were shocking. Far more rewards, rare items, valuable drops. All of it now belonged to him. But Shadow didn't linger. He never forgot his true objective. Revenge. Meanwhile, the leaderboard was finally announced. And at rank number 1, no surprise, Shadow. Right behind him, at rank #2, Wang Meng. Across the battlefield, most players were still struggling, barely surviving against level 1 monsters. And then, a new threat appeared. A terrifying monster emerged. In an instant, sharp spikes burst out from its abdomen, piercing everything around it. One by one, players fell. Those who died were instantly revived. Returned to the main lobby. A woman who had died over and over again stood there. How did Shadow level up so fast? There has to be a secret. Rumors were spreading fast. They said, if someone reached level 3, they could temporarily exit the game. She decided to spread a message. If Shadow helps me level up, I'll give him $10 million in real life. Meanwhile, Shadow was busy, relentlessly hunting monsters, grinding levels, using every evolution point he had. He upgraded his skill, Hand of Avarice, to level 5. A terrifying skill, one that massively increased the chance of obtaining rare and high-class loot drops. Then, the ground trembled. A massive presence appeared. A bronze-class boss monster, the Damned. Its body was absorbing the life energy of the players it had slaughtered, preparing to evolve into a silver-class monster. Shadow watched silently. This isn't the time. He marked the boss's location on his map. And then, he vanished. Like a shadow. Moments later, Shadow appeared inside the city, right in the middle of a massive crowd. Without hesitation, he made an announcement. Selling beginner equipment and rare skills. Only 10 minutes. The crowd froze. Shock spread instantly. A woman stepped forward. How much for the ice cone spell? Shadow answered calmly. 100 days of lifespan. He already knew who she was. Her name was Grey Rose, currently ranked number 11 on the leaderboard. She tried to bargain. Can you lower the price? Shadow shook his head. This skill is perfect for clearing monsters quickly. For a beginner mage, this is already cheap. She tried again. What if I pay with real-world money? Shadow's eyes turned cold. No, I said 100 days of lifespan. If you can't afford it, leave. In the end, Grey Rose contacted her party. After a brief discussion, they agreed. Each member donated part of their lifespan. Together, they paid 100 days. Shadow's lifespan surged. 268 days. 368 days. Another woman stepped forward. Her name was Jiang Li. I'll give you $10 million cash in the real world if you help me reach level 3. Shadow didn't hesitate. No. She kept talking, begging, persuading. Shadow turned toward her. Say one more word, and I'll kill you until your lifespan reaches 0. Silence. The crowd froze. Then, they ran. Fear took over. Shadow continued trading, selling equipment, selling skills. His lifespan kept rising. 527 days. 546 days. Shadow was obsessed with tradable lifespan, because that was the only way to extract power from the game into the real world. Once everything was sold, Shadow stepped back and vanished. Like a shadow, Shadow returned to the location he had marked earlier, the place where the boss monster awaited. It was still there, in the middle of its evolution, climbing toward the silver rank. Shadow's eyes narrowed. This was his chance. Without hesitation, he drew his poison dagger. The first strike landed perfectly, immediately followed by continuous poison damage, ticking relentlessly. Before the boss could react, Shadow vanished. The same technique repeated over and over. The boss grew furious, roaring in rage. It unleashed a devastating area of effect spell. Everything around it was annihilated, but Shadow was already moving. He struck again. The second attack, once more, perfectly aimed at the head. Poison damage stacked. The boss felt true fear. It turned and tried to flee, but Shadow could see it clearly. The boss's HP was almost gone. This was it. The final strike. With absolute precision, Shadow shattered its head. The boss monster collapsed. System notifications flooded in. Massive rewards. But before the monster's soul was fully absorbed, Shadow activated his skill. Greedy Hand. Instantly, the loot doubled. Items poured out. Then, a new notification appeared. Rare item acquired. A ring. Cursed golden ring. This ring boosted all attributes by +8 across every class. But that wasn't all. Shadow obtained another skill. A terrifying one. Instant Shadow Slash. A skill that unleashed 100 slashes simultaneously from behind. Without wasting a second, Shadow learned it immediately. He also upgraded Greedy Hand once more. Loot drop chance increased by 200%. Rare item drop rate increased to 40%. Then, he upgraded Instant Shadow Slash to level 3. Originally, it delivered 100 slashes. Now, 200 slashes. With everything prepared, Shadow turned to leave. Suddenly, a horde of monsters charged from behind. Perfect timing. Shadow raised his dagger and tested his new skill. Instant Shadow Slash. In a single moment, the entire group of monsters was erased. Instantly. No survivors. But Shadow didn't celebrate. This power was still not enough. Not enough to repay the betrayal. Not enough for true revenge. Inside the city hall, the leaderboard updated once again. At rank number 1, Shadow, level 5. At rank number 2, Wang Meng and his party, level 3. The entire hall fell silent. Is that possible? He was selling items here just 10 minutes ago. No one could understand it. Wang Meng raised his hand. Calm down. Focus on the objective. He looked at his team. We've reached level 3. That means we can return to the real world. After a brief pause, everyone nodded. They agreed, and in the next moment, they logged out. Wang Meng woke up, back in the real world. He was lying in a hospital bed. The truth soon became clear. Wang Meng was a police officer. Just yesterday, he had finished a case and was injured in the process. While resting in the hospital, he fell asleep, and that was when he was pulled into the game. Now, his colleagues surrounded him. Wang Meng gathered everyone. He calmly explained everything, what he experienced after falling asleep, how he was transported into the game world, and what happened inside it. Soon, a serious discussion began. Wang Meng and his team started analyzing the situation, planning, investigating. This game was far too suspicious. Then, his superior spoke. This isn't an isolated case. All over the world, people who fall asleep experience the same phenomenon. This is connected to that strange game. With that, the boss made a decision. Multiple investigation teams would be formed. He appointed in Yu, a capable woman, as captain of Team 1. Wang Meng was assigned as vice captain. The remaining members were free to choose their teams. Before ending the meeting, the boss added one final objective. If possible, find out the real identity of Shadow, the #1 player in that game. Meanwhile, in another place, Shadow's half-sister, Xiaoyu, sat in her room, annoyed, angry. Her brother had been acting strange all morning. Xiaoyu clenched her fists. Like many girls around the world, she loved to daydream. She dreamed of marrying her idol someday. And suddenly, a thought crossed her mind. If my idol falls asleep, he'll enter the game too, right? Her heart started racing. Realizing that, Xiaoyu lay down on her bed, closed her eyes, and prepared to sleep, hoping to meet her idol. As Shadow continued his journey, he activated a portal. His next destination, God's abandoned realm, the very place where all of this cursed chaos had begun. But before that, Shadow stopped by the city hall. He needed to sell everything he had obtained from slaughtering monsters. As always, the moment he appeared, the place exploded into chaos. People rushed forward, bidding wildly. One item sold, 300 days of lifespan. In less than 1 minute, everything was gone, all sold. The total? 650 days of lifespan. Suddenly, from within the crowd, a woman stepped forward. She had a gentle, innocent face. She held out a ring. A trade, she said softly. It was a storage ring. It added 12 extra inventory slots, without affecting the main slots. Not extremely rare, but incredibly difficult to obtain at such a low level. Shadow looked at her. How much? She shook her head. I don't want to sell it. I just want to be your friend and join your party. I want to defeat a boss together. Shadow paused for a moment, then nodded. Fine. The woman continued. The monster I encountered, it was incredibly strong. A gold tier level. Shadow's eyes sharpened. What's the boss's name? She shook her head. I don't know, but I saw a broken ship in the middle of a swamp. Shadow instantly understood. His expression changed. That's it. The Golden Ghost Ship. A special boss. One that could appear at any level. Extremely rare. And if defeated, it could drop exclusive equipment. They began their journey, moving through a dark, twisted forest. Then, Shadow vanished. Without a sound, the woman froze. Shadow, where did you go? She turned around in confusion. That was when she saw it. From behind, a group of player killers had already surrounded her. They grinned, laughing loudly. A lone woman. Easy prey. But they didn't realize they were already dead. From behind, a single strike. That was all it took. In one instant, the entire group collapsed. Shadow clicked his tongue. They're no better than two ugly goblins. Not even worth fighting. He reappeared beside the woman. Show me where the boss is. Meanwhile, the protagonist's half-sister has just entered the game. She awakens with a mage class and an extremely rare hidden class, Life Sacrifice. With her innocent face and gentle aura, she approaches a beginner party, a team desperately lacking a healer. At the same time, our protagonist and the mysterious woman finally arrive at the boss location. In the middle of the swamp, a terrifying sight appears. A massive boss, riding a broken ship, slowly drifting across the murky waters. Without hesitation, the protagonist vanishes like a shadow. Stay alert, he whispers calmly. I'll handle this alone. Then, he dives straight toward the boss. Golden Ghost Ship, level 5 gold tier, special boss. Suddenly, a system notification appears. Time limit activated. He must defeat the boss before time runs out. In an instant, the protagonist launches a surprise attack. Instant shadow slash. A massive burst of damage slams into the boss's body. Next skill, Venom Dart. Poison spreads rapidly. Then Stealth Break Strike. A devastating critical hit lands. The boss's real weakness is not the ship, but the bell at the very end of the vessel. That bell is its true core. When the bell is struck, the monster becomes even more violent. The swamp trembles. The boss unleashes a terrifying area of effect spell with an enormous range and lethal power. But it's still not over. The Golden Ghost Ship summons 12 water ghosts, rushing toward the protagonist. Each one of them is equivalent to a silver rank monster. Normally, this would be a death sentence. But for him, not a problem. He disappears again. Then instant shadow slash. In a single moment, all 12 water ghosts are completely wiped out. The woman watching from afar is left utterly shocked. She can't believe what she's seeing. As the boss's health drops to 50%, a warning flashes in the system. Final phase activated. The boss prepares a skill with an extremely wide range. A guaranteed kill. For now, the protagonist knows one thing. He cannot block it yet. So he makes the cold, calculated decision. He chooses death. But suddenly, a group of player killers arrives from the shadows, seeking revenge. When they spot the protagonists drop the loot, their eyes light up. Golden-colored items, shining brilliantly in the swamp. They laugh excitedly, already imagining their reward. Greed fills the air, but suddenly, the player killers drop dead instantly. In the next moment, their bodies vanish, and they are forcefully respawned at the city hall. Soon after, the protagonist returns to the boss battlefield. He stops. Why are there loot items here? The woman quickly explains several player killers tried to steal your loot, but they were killed by the boss before they could escape. The protagonist nods calmly. Then, the hunt resumes. He moves instantly, targeting the bell at the end of the ghost ship. That bell, the boss's true core. The moment it struck, the boss erupts in rage. A massive wide-area magic spell explodes across the swamp. Meanwhile, on top of a nearby cliff, the woman is being chased by player killers. Not far away, another hidden party watches from behind the trees. Their goal is clear. Steal the golden boss loot. Back at the battlefield, the protagonist prepares his final move. One precise strike, one decisive moment, and finally, the golden ghost ship collapses. The boss is dead. Without wasting a second, the protagonist activates his shadow skill and disappears completely. At that exact moment, a system notification echoes throughout the city hall. Player Shadow has defeated a gold-tier boss. The entire city falls silent, seeing the enormous amount of loot. Another party becomes greedy. They decide to rob. One of them, a ranger, activates a detection skill to locate Shadow. The skill scans the surrounding area, but Shadow remains hidden. The protagonist stays calm. His shadow concealment is already level 2, while the ranger's detection skill is only level 1. Moments later, the ranger reports, there's no sign of Shadow anywhere nearby. Satisfied, the party moves forward, smiling, excited, already imagining the treasure waiting for them. Then, Shadow appears. One slash. That's all it takes. The entire party is instantly wiped out. Silence returns, leaving only piles of loot behind. The protagonist uses his remaining evolution points to upgrade Greedy Hand. From diamond level to epic level. Item drop rate increases from 200% to 300%. Rare item drop chance reaches 100%. Immediately, he activates Greedy Hand. The results are overwhelming. High-quality items pour in, one after another. And finally, a rare item appears. Ghostfire Bell, an item capable of activating unique skills and exclusive passive abilities. Meanwhile, the koi-fish woman finds herself trapped at the edge of a cliff. She looks down. The abyss below is terrifyingly deep, but there is no fear in her eyes. Without hesitation, she jumps. Her body slams into the ground below, and she dies instantly. The player killers freeze. None of them dare to jump into such a bottomless pit. Moments later, the woman contacts the protagonist. I'm dead already. I've respawned in the city. The protagonist understands immediately. I'll meet you there and give you the items we agreed on. Before heading back to the city, the protagonist focuses on upgrading his power. First, Instant Shadow / upgraded from Platinum to Diamond. Next, Backstab evolves from Bronze to Gold. Not only that, he also obtains a pair of Platinum-tier dual daggers with powerful attributes. The weapon isn't flashy, but it has one terrifying effect. Every normal attack deals double damage. Then, a gold-tier armor with strong defensive attributes appears in his inventory. After equipping it, the protagonist immediately conceals the armor, making sure other players cannot see it. Finally, he obtains a gold-tier skill book, Ghost Shadow Blur, a passive skill that increases evasion rate by 15%. Without wasting a second, he learns it instantly. With everything complete, the protagonist leaves the area and heads toward the city. But on the way, he encounters the same group of player killers who chased him before. There is no hesitation, no mercy. He kills them all. As a result, a red mark appears. Player killer status activated. If he dies now, 75% of his remaining lifespan will be lost. Soon after, the protagonist appears in the middle of the city. Everyone gasps. Shock spreads instantly. Suddenly, a man steps forward from the crowd and hands him a skill book. This is yours, the man says. I accidentally picked it up during the boss fight. The protagonist checks the item. It's a skill book that grants control and stun effects on a single target. Without a word, he stores it and disappears into the crowd. But unknown to him, this is part of a sinister plan. The group he defeated in the swamp is not finished yet. Their leader begins preparing something dangerous. A plan to capture Shadow in the real world. Later, as agreed, the protagonist gives a portion of the loot and valuable items to the woman named Little Black. She is overjoyed. The skills and equipment she receives boost all her attributes significantly. But that's not all. Little Black shares another crucial piece of information. While I was hiding from the player killers, I found an underground ruin. She marks the entrance directly on the map. Without hesitation, he heads straight toward the ruins. He knows one thing for sure. A place like that is perfect for leveling up fast. Finally, the protagonist arrives in front of the ancient ruins gate. In the beginner city, there are only 3 types of ruins that can appear. First, ancient ruins. Second, cursed tombs. And third, temples of the old faith. As he moves deeper inside, he notices strange murals carved into the stone walls. Symbols, ritual scenes, forgotten gods. At that moment, the protagonist becomes certain this place is a temple of the old faith. He continues forward, walking through a long, dark corridor. Wang Ming's group is locked in a fierce battle against monsters. But then, Wang Ming takes a direct, devastating hit. His body collapses. His teammates panic. They shout at the new member to use heal on Wang Ming, who is now on the verge of death. But the girl freezes. Her hands tremble. She's too scared to react. And that's when they realize she is Xin Feng's half-sister. Xiao Yu. There's nothing they can do anymore. One by one, Wang Ming's entire party is wiped out. They all respawn back in the city. Furious, one of the teammates lashes out at Xiao Yu. You're useless. You're too weak to be here. Before things escalate further, Little Black steps forward and stops the argument. She reveals that she received gold-tier items from the protagonist earlier. Items that drastically increased her strength. Wang Ming hesitates, then nods. They agree to try one more time. Back inside the temple, the protagonist finally reaches the end of the corridor. But there is nothing there. Nothing except 2 massive boss monsters, both kneeling on the ground. Without hesitation, the protagonist attacks them. But something feels wrong. His attacks barely affect them. The damage is minimal. Strangely, the 2 boss monsters kneel again, bowing toward him. Even though his body is slowly fading, wrapped in shadows. The protagonist speaks coldly. Do you know the way forward? If you do, then lead me. But the truth is, the 2 boss monsters have already lost their sanity. Their eyes are empty. They roar like wild beasts. No reason. No consciousness. Suddenly, they charge at him. At the same time, another group of players enters the temple from behind. But the outcome is obvious. The level difference is too great. They are slaughtered instantly. The protagonist recognizes one of them. A woman. She's the same woman who once bought a skill book from his stall. Her name, Grey Rose. Without emotion, the protagonist collects the orbs and loot left behind by the fallen party. A beginner group like this had over 100 days of tradable lifespan. He searches the temple again, but still, nothing else appears. No hidden path. No secret altar. Left with no other choice, the protagonist turns back and kills the 2 boss monsters. Immediately after, he activates Greedy Hand. The loot doubles. Even the protagonist is stunned by the results. The 2 bosses drop. 32 evolution points won, but that's not all. Among the rewards, a gold-tier assassin exclusive equipment appears. A necklace. Effect. Cooldown reduction plus 20%. And then, something changes. The ground begins to shake. A hidden mechanism activates beneath the temple. Finally, a button rises slowly from the ground. Right in front of the protagonist. The protagonist steps forward and stands right at the center of the circle. Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet moves. That circle is actually an elevator. The stone doors begin to close, slowly, silently, until everything goes dark. The elevator descends. Deeper and deeper, around 300 to 400 meters underground. When the doors finally open, the protagonist realizes what lies below is a massive underground labyrinth. Endless paths, twisting corridors, darkness everywhere. He narrows his eyes. This place must be filled with deadly traps. Fortunately, he has just obtained a gold-tier item, an item with a special skill. Summon undead, a creature that can fight and die in his place. Without wasting time, the protagonist activates the skill. A rotting undead rises from the ground. He gives it a simple command. Scout the area. As the undead moves ahead, the protagonist continues walking forward. At the same time, he upgrades several of his skills. First, Ghost Shadow Blur upgraded from Gold Tier, Epic Tier. Effect, 75% chance to evade attacks. Next, Instant Shadow / upgraded from Diamond Tier, Epic Tier. The power surges. Suddenly, the undead steps forward. Click. A trap activates. A massive stone crashes down from above. Boom. The undead's body is completely crushed. Meanwhile, back at the temple lobby, the party that died earlier returns to check on the boss loot. But what they see leaves them speechless. The 2 boss monsters are gone. So is all the loot. They exchange glances. There's only one possible answer. The only one who could have done this is Shadow. Back underground, the protagonist has been navigating the labyrinth for 3 full hours. Based on his calculations, he should be close. Very close. And then, at the end of the path, he sees it. A massive stone door. To be safe, he summons another undead. Open it. The undead pushes, but the door doesn't move at all. The protagonist sighs softly and places his hand on the door himself. With a low rumble, the door opens. A surge of ancient magical energy bursts outward. He steps inside. In the center of the room, there is a golden chest, wrapped tightly in sharp, black thorns. Standing beside it is a very strange NPC. A woman. She has a single eye in the middle of her forehead. Above her head. Status. Unknown. She speaks. But the language is completely incomprehensible. After finishing her words, she vanishes. Just like that. At the same moment, the sharp thorns binding the chest disappear. Still cautious, the protagonist summons another undead. Open it. The undead lifts the lid, and suddenly, a blinding golden light erupts from inside the chest. Golden light slowly fades, and inside the chest, the protagonist finds something extraordinary. An epic tier skill book, Bestowal of Mercy, a skill so rare, only a handful of players in the entire game will ever obtain it. Its passive effect, damage dealt to an enemy's weak point, is multiplied, and it comes with an active skill, Slit Throat, a brutal ability. If the first strike deals 300 damage, then for the next 3 seconds, the enemy suffers 300 continuous damage over and over again. After collecting everything inside the chest, the protagonist immediately contacts Little Black. Tell your captain to return to the city. There's something I want to sell. Moments later, he appears in the city. As always, the moment people see him, the crowd erupts, whispers, requests for friendship. But the protagonist doesn't respond. He vanishes from the crowd like a shadow. Soon after, he meets Little Black and asks her to bring him to her captain. However, something unexpected happens. The protagonist freezes. His eyes narrow. Among Wang Ming's party, he sees her, his stepsister. His mind races. How did she join Wang Ming's party? He clenches his fist. Right now, even a kitchen knife could kill him in the real world while he's asleep. He must be careful. Without hesitation, he hands over the items. Every piece of equipment, every skill book. Total price, 2,200 days of lifespan. Wang Ming is stunned. That's too expensive. We don't have that much. The protagonist replies calmly. It's fine. Pay me later, slowly. Wang Ming distributes the items. The change is immediate. Their combat power multiplies several times over. Then, his stepsister steps forward. She smiles sweetly and tries to persuade him. Can you give me some equipment too? The protagonist looks at her. Then, he disappears. In truth, he still has a gold tier staff and a gold tier skill book inside his inventory. But why would he give something so valuable to someone who betrayed him once before? His next objective is clear. He needs to find a mage, a woman with a hidden magic class. White Avian Priestess. She commands a white owl, capable of granting powerful buffs to her entire team. Without wasting time, the protagonist enters a portal to another city. This time, his destination is Firefly City, the same city where Song Fei is currently located. He arrives, immediately activates his stealth skill. It doesn't take long. Information flows easily when you're Shadow. Soon, he heads toward a place called Willing Valley. There, he sees chaos. Players fighting monsters. Players fighting each other. Death everywhere. At the far end of the valley, a group of mages stand together, protecting someone. And there he is, Song Fei. His followers are terrifyingly strong. All of them are mages, but divided into specialized roles. Defensive mages, offensive mages, healers, long-range casters, support specialists, a perfectly structured magic army. Someone tries to get close, tries to attack Song Fei. Crack. His head explodes, smashed instantly by a magic staff. The protagonist watches silently from the shadows. Song Fei began to put on an act. With a confident smile, he ordered all of his followers to eliminate the monster in front of them. Without hesitation, his subordinates attacked together, surrounding the monster from all sides. Enraged, the monster roared, then launched a massive fireball straight towards Song Fei. But before the attack could reach him, one of his loyal followers jumped forward. He sacrificed his life without regret, shielding his idol from the flames. Song Fei's fans were willing to die just to protect him. Seeing this, the rest of his followers became even more excited. They believed victory was guaranteed, especially with the legendary Shadow nearby. But then, in a single, silent moment, the protagonist appeared. Without warning, Shadow swung his blade and instantly severed Song Fei's head. Not stopping there, Shadow continued his massacre. One by one, Song Fei's devoted fans were slain without mercy. In the end, everyone at the scene was wiped out. Both Song Fei's followers and the boss monster they had been fighting were completely annihilated. The surrounding players stood frozen in shock. Who is this mysterious player? He's unbelievably strong. No one dared to step forward. No one dared to loot the items on the ground. Because they all knew one thing. This man was Shadow. Meanwhile, Song Fei respawned back in the starting city. Burning with rage, he immediately began forming a new plan. He recruited a skilled archer, one capable of detecting stealth abilities. With sweet words and false promises, Song Fei slowly began to brainwash him. He didn't stop there. Song Fei also recruited a mage with stun abilities, and even a low-tier assassin who could use stealth, just like Shadow. As always, Song Fei manipulated them with honeyed words. His followers cried, worshipping him like a god. Filled with blind devotion, they were convinced of one thing. This time, they would definitely kill Shadow. Elsewhere, Shadow calmly activated his skill Greedy Hand. As a result, the amount of loot he obtained multiplied several times over. He then upgraded his skill, Mercy Execution, evolving it from epic to legendary. With this upgrade, enemy weak points increased to 200% damage. In other words, half of the enemy's body was now considered a weak point. But just as Shadow was focused on upgrading his skills, an assassin suddenly appeared from behind and launched a sneak attack. Shadow calmly stepped aside, as if nothing had happened. The assassin vanished back into stealth. Shadow slowly looked up, and that's when he realized they were Song Fei's followers returning for revenge. The protagonist immediately activated his skill, and his body faded away, blending into the shadows. A confident archer stepped forward. Believing in his ability, he activated his detection skill to locate Shadow's position. Moments later, the archer spotted an assassin hiding below. Without hesitation, he shouted orders, telling all the mages to attack. Spells rained down instantly, but the truth was revealed too late. That assassin was not Shadow. It was their own teammate hiding in stealth. By the time they realized their mistake, it was already over. They had killed one of their own. At that exact moment, Shadow struck. He activated a special item, a ghostly bell capable of releasing a stun effect within a 100-meter radius. All of Song Fei's followers were instantly stunned, their bodies frozen in place, unable to move. And without wasting a second, Shadow slaughtered them all with ruthless efficiency. At the edge of the cliff, the dark protagonist noticed someone hiding in fear. It was Song Fei. Shadow appeared behind him and whispered softly, "Now, it's your turn to die." Panic overtook Song Fei. He immediately activated his magic shield, but it was useless. Shadow cut him down instantly, not giving him even a single chance to resist. Afterward, Shadow was slightly surprised. Song Fei possessed more than 2,000 lifespan points, while his followers had only a small amount of remaining life. At that moment, Shadow realized the truth. Song Fei had been exploiting his followers, using them purely for his own benefit. Soon after, Song Fei and his followers respawned back in the city. This time, their anger reached its limit. Being killed twice by the same man filled them with hatred and humiliation. Fearing Shadow's pursuit, they began making plans to flee to a new city. Not long after, Shadow returned to the city, searching for Song Fei and his group. He approached a sailor and asked calmly, "Have you seen Song Fei and his party?" The player nodded and replied, "They just left in that direction. They probably haven't gone far yet." In the next instant, Shadow vanished once again and began chasing them through the shadows. But along the way, he encountered someone unexpected, a mage who, in the future, would become one of his greatest allies. Her name was Gu Ishue. Shadow asked for her assistance, offering a powerful magic staff in exchange. Gu Ishue agreed. She activated her skill, summoning a white owl to scout the area around the city. The owl flew silently across the sky, searching for Song Fei's group. And finally, Gu Ishue found them. The mage immediately sent the coordinates to the protagonist. Without hesitation, Shadow began chasing Song Fei, sprinting forward at full speed. However, in the middle of his pursuit, he suddenly noticed a strange tree marked with an unusual symbol. The mage quickly warned him, "There are 2 more trees with the same strange mark." Shadow stopped. One by one, he carefully channeled his magic into each of the marked symbols. When the final mark connected, a mysterious light erupted at the center of the 3 trees. And to his surprise, an emerald tier treasure chest appeared. Without wasting a second, Shadow opened the chest. Inside, he obtained a rare skill book, Curse of Blooming Flowers. In simple terms, this skill allows the user to absorb the victim's lifespan after the target dies. After securing the skill, Shadow resumed his hunt. His target remained the same, Song Fei. Meanwhile, Song Fei and his group were busy grinding levels, slaughtering monsters along the way. They soon noticed other players fighting nearby. Instead of helping, they revealed their true nature. They attacked. A male player was beaten to death with a magic staff. The healer mage was pierced repeatedly by arrows, until her body collapsed to the ground. Finally, they charged together, killing both the remaining player and the monster at the same time. Song Fei smiled coldly. That despicable man praised his followers, promising that he would love them even more. Moved by his words, his followers began to cry, willing to give up everything for him. But they didn't know, death was already watching them. From the top of a nearby cliff, Shadow had arrived. Silently, he observed them from behind. Without wasting a single second, Shadow descended like a blade of darkness. One clean slash. Song Fei was killed instantly. And then, for the final act, Shadow activated his new skill, Curse of Blooming Flowers. Dark energy bloomed like petals in the air, as Shadow absorbed Song Fei's remaining lifespan. Song Fei respawned once again in the starting city. Rage filled his face. He couldn't understand it. Why was Shadow hunting him? What had he done to deserve this? Then, a system notification appeared. His lifespan was continuously decreasing. Panic spread through his body. What did Shadow do to me? What kind of skill is this? Soon after, his followers began to respawn as well. They rushed to report everything they saw. They told him that Shadow had activated a mysterious flower-like skill, one that bloomed directly on the victim's body. Hearing this, Song Fei immediately ordered all his followers to log out. He told them to buy large amounts of lifespan, using real-world money. Meanwhile, Shadow was busy absorbing the lifespans of the players he had killed. As a result, he obtained a new title, Player Killer, Level 4. The mage who witnessed everything stood frozen in shock. She finally realized how terrifying Shadow truly was. He wasn't just strong. He could slaughter multiple players at once, without hesitation. The mage then informed Shadow, Song Fei and his followers have logged out. They've left the game. Not long after, Shadow returned to the city. He met the mage again, to thank her personally. As a reward, he handed her a gold-tier skill book. However, there was one condition. She had to join a party chosen by Shadow, Wang Ming's party. At that moment, Wang Ming's party was struggling in battle against monsters. Among them was Shadow's half-sister. She was completely useless to the team. Terrified and panicking, she couldn't even function properly. Even when her teammates begged her to cast a healing spell, she missed. Instead of healing her teammate, she accidentally healed a tree. As a result, her poisoned teammate died on the spot. The entire party was wiped out, and all of them respawned back in the city. Suddenly, Shadow contacted them. "I want to meet," he said calmly. "There's a healer mage who wants to join your party." Without hesitation, Wang Ming immediately agreed. He desperately needed a professional healer to push the party to a higher level. And so, they left. They abandoned Shadow's half-sister behind, escaping without even looking back. Eventually, they all met at the Firefly City Town Hall. At that meeting, one more player joined the group. His name was an NYU, Wang Ming's friend from the police force. Meanwhile, players all over the world began logging out of the game, screaming in panic. In the game Godforsaken, if a player's lifespan reaches 0, they don't just die in the game. They die in the real world. Song Fei's followers had already given up almost all of their lifespan for their so-called idol. Now, fear finally caught up with them. They were terrified. At the same time, Shadow continued hunting monsters non-stop, grinding relentlessly to grow stronger. And finally, he reached level 10. Every single attribute skyrocketed. Moments later, a system announcement echoed through the game. Player Shadow has become the first player to reach level 10. After that, Shadow calmly logged out of the game. His eyes slowly opened. For the first time in several days, he was awake in the real world. Suddenly, a translucent system panel appeared before him. "Would you like to extract your in-game skills into the real world, using your lifespan?" Without hesitation, Shadow chose yes. He extracted all the skills he needed, every ability required to dominate reality itself. When the process ended, one truth became clear. At that moment, he had become the strongest human in the world. Shadow picked up his phone. Breaking news filled the screen. Song Fei was currently at the city plaza, desperately trying to buy lifespan from his followers. Shadow's eyes turned cold. Without wasting another second, he stood up. This time, he wasn't going to kill Song Fei in a game. He was going to end him in the real world. Song Fei stepped forward and began greeting his fans. The crowd exploded. They screamed hysterically, chanting his name like worshippers. Beside him sat a woman. Her name was Jiang Li, the daughter of an underground business tycoon. In the real world, Jiang Li was infamous. She had trapped players, dragged them into reality, and tortured them like slaves. Then, Song Fei began his performance. With sweet words and fake motivation, he spoke about dreams, sacrifice, and loyalty. He told his fans to sell their lifespan to him. As he spoke, his voice trembled. He pretended to cry. He pretended to suffer. And it worked. One by one, his fans began crying with him. Their emotions collapsed. Among them stood a massive man, built like a gorilla. He shouted his loyalty at the top of his lungs. Without hesitation, he offered all of his remaining lifespan to Song Fei. Song Fei smiled. He thanked him warmly. He promised, "I will love you forever." And then, a stone pierced through Song Fei's head. The cheers stopped instantly. Blood sprayed. His skull was left with a gaping hole. Song Fei dropped to the ground, dead, instantly, right in front of everyone. The crowd froze. Then chaos erupted. People screamed, ran, and trampled each other in panic. Jiang Li tried to escape. She was escorted by 2 bodyguards. But before they could take 3 steps, a small pebble flew through the air. It pierced straight through Jiang Li's head. She collapsed, dead on the spot. Hidden among the chaos, the protagonist activated his invisibility skill. At last, he had taken his revenge. Not in the game, not through avatars, but with his own hands in the real world.
In an instant, the entire world was thrown into chaos. Every television channel began broadcasting the same shocking news. The famous star, Song Fei, was confirmed dead. Beside her body, her most devoted fan was also found lifeless, having given up everything in his life for her. Inside a moving taxi, Xiao Yu and her friend were crying uncontrollably. They couldn't believe what had just happened. Her friend suddenly spoke, her voice trembling. Could this be Shadow's doing? In the game, Shadow already killed Song Fei 3 times. Those words struck Xiao Yu deeply. She began to think, what if it's true? At that moment, Xiao Yu made a silent vow. This time, her goal was clear. She would kill Shadow and avenge Song Fei's death with her own hands. Meanwhile, Shadow, our protagonist, was calmly enjoying a warm bowl of ramen. Even though players were trapped inside the godforsaken game, their bodies still needed food and water when hunger struck. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was Xiaoyu. He answered casually. So, you're still alive, Xinfang. Xiaoyu said she planned to buy her own house and live separately from her older brother from now on. Shadow replied in a relaxed tone. That's it? Is there anything else? Without hesitation, Shadow ended the call. His next objective was clear. He needed to level up as quickly as possible. Because once other players reached level 10, they would uncover the truth about the game. And when that happened, this peaceful world would no longer exist. Inside the game, Xiaoyu met someone she had made a promise with. That man handed her an assassin skill book. Her plan for revenge had officially begun. She contacted her team captain, Wang Meng, asking him to check whether Shadow needed an assassin skill. In her imagination, everything played out perfectly. She would slowly get close to Shadow, make him fall in love with her, and at the very moment he least expected it, she would stab him from behind with her own hands. Soon after, Wang Meng contacted Xiaoyu. Shadow doesn't need that trash skill, he said coldly. Keep it for yourself. Not long after that, Shadow logged back into the game. Almost immediately, he heard the sounds of battle coming from the distance. Without wasting any time, he rushed over to investigate. What he saw was shocking. A party of players was fighting a massive boss monster. His body was enormous. It had countless arms, and each arm was holding a sword. Suddenly, one of the players failed to dodge an attack. In a single moment, his body was torn apart into pieces. The boss's name soon appeared. Golden Arthropod. Level 8 boss. Gold rank. This boss possessed anti-invisibility level 2, which meant one thing. Shadow's invisibility skills were completely useless against it. The boss suddenly went berserk. It let out a deafening roar that shook the battlefield. Without hesitation, Shadow charged forward. He unleashed a relentless barrage of slashes onto the boss. However, this time the damage dropped significantly. The invisibility effect was completely useless against this monster. Not slowing down, Shadow switched his attack. He threw a poison dagger. The blade struck the monster's head directly. The poison spread rapidly throughout its massive body, dealing heavy damage over time. Enraged even further, the monster began attacking wildly and brutally. Yet Shadow remained calm. He effortlessly dodged every single attack, as if he were dancing through the battlefield. The other party watching the fight was stunned. What kind of speed is that? They couldn't even see Shadow's movements anymore. At the moment the monster let its guard down, Shadow launched a surprise attack. The damage was massive. The boss's HP plummeted sharply. It was on the verge of death. Realizing that Shadow was far too powerful, the monster immediately tried to flee. But Shadow didn't allow it. At full speed, he sliced through the boss's head in one clean strike, ending the battle in an epic finish. A notification appeared. Congratulations. You have defeated Golden Arthropod. Level 8 boss. Gold tier. Rewards obtained. 6,400 XP, 7 evolution points, and 497 days of lifespan, which could be traded. Once again, Shadow activated his skill Greedy Hand. The result was incredible. He gained 3 times more XP and 3 times more evolution points. But that wasn't all. He also obtained a rare platinum level skill book. Black Light Shield. An active assassin skill that creates a protective barrier for 8 seconds, with a 60-second cooldown. Shadow's growth skyrocketed. If he combined his skills properly, he could evade up to 75% of incoming attacks, and defeat many bosses without taking any damage at all. Without wasting time, he upgraded the new skill from Platinum to Epic. The result was astonishing. Now, he had 7 layers of defense. With this power, he could even explore high-level areas far earlier than other players. With his remaining points, he upgraded Venom Dart from Silver to Emerald rank. On top of that, Shadow obtained a Platinum level ring. A speed ring that increased all attributes by 20 points, and reduced cooldowns by 20%. He also received a gold tier glove, heavy red leather. With his stats boosted even further, Shadow was confident. He could now kill bosses in beginner areas without any difficulty. The party that witnessed the entire battle finally revealed themselves. It was the Grey Rose group. Shadow offered them a gold tier skill book called Frost Ricochet, an area of effect skill that fires ice orbs which can bounce up to 10 times. He sold it for 800 days of lifespan. 800 is a fair price. In the end, they agreed and bought the skill book. As usual, Shadow left immediately, disappearing once again, like a shadow. His next plan was clear. He would defeat all silver and gold tier bosses in the surrounding area. After that, he contacted his friend Wang Meng. Shadow asked to meet in the city. He said he had prepared an item perfect for their party, and told Wang Meng to bring plenty of lifespan. But before anything else, Wang Meng asked a serious question. Boss, was it you who killed Song Fei? With a cold expression, Shadow replied calmly. Yes, I killed her. Wang Meng likely already knew the truth. When Shadow logged out of the game, Wang Meng had matched the timing with events in the real world. Then Shadow asked in return, his voice steady. So, what do you plan to do now? Arrest me? Shadow calmly laid out all the items he planned to sell. He began negotiating seriously. In total, he had 25 platinum tier items, and he set the price at 16,000 days of lifespan. A woman named Anyu, the captain and direct superior of Wang Meng, agreed immediately. No bargaining. The transaction was completed successfully. After the deal, Shadow now possessed roughly 60 years of lifespan that could be traded freely. The items were then distributed among their party members. Soon after, Anyu, the captain of the police force, offered Shadow a cooperation deal. She asked for his help to rescue prisoners being held by a dark corporation in the real world. Shadow refused. However, he decided to share one crucial piece of information. He openly admitted that he used the power of the game to kill Song Fei. Then he added something even more shocking. When you reach level 10 in this game, you can sacrifice lifespan to transfer in-game abilities into the real world. After saying that, Shadow turned and left. Before disappearing, he gave them one final warning. Be careful from now on, he said calmly. The world is about to become extremely chaotic. Shadow headed to the city hall and opened a stall once again. But this time, he wasn't selling anything. Instead, he was buying information. He offered 30 days of lifespan for the coordinates of a silver tier boss, and 100 days of lifespan for a gold tier boss. Not long after, someone approached his stall. They wanted to trade silver boss coordinates for 30 days of lifespan. Meanwhile, a new party arrived in the city. It consisted of one Asian woman and 2 American men. The woman's name was Chen Sishi. She complained openly, saying the game wasn't impressive at all. With a little money, and by killing other players, you can get everything. She was clearly irritated. Originally, she was supposed to fly to America, enjoying herself and living freely. But because of the game, her flight had been delayed. She looked at the surrounding players with visible disgust. The men in this area are like insects, she said coldly. In contrast, with a provocative smile, she praised men abroad, calling them stronger, more muscular, and far better in physical pursuits. Chen Sishi had come for one reason. She wanted to see the player who killed Song Fei, the man known as Shadow. She couldn't wait to taste what Shadow was really like. Her plan was simple. She intended to log out using 3,000 days of lifespan as bait. Shadow might not care about cash, but there was no way he could ignore 3,000 lifespan. And most shocking of all, Chen Sishi already knew the truth. She knew that Shadow was actually Sin Feng. Meanwhile, in the real world, at her new place, Xiao Yu finally logged out of the game. Her hunger level had reached its limit. She picked up her phone to check the time, but what she saw shocked her. All services had shut down. Restaurants were closed. Shopping centers were closed. Almost everyone had entered the game and was completely absorbed in playing. At the same time, Shadow was busy hunting monsters to push his level even higher. This time, he successfully killed a silver tier crab boss. Within just 1 hour, Shadow defeated 4 silver tier bosses. Each boss kill granted him 16 evolution points. He could clearly feel it. He was far stronger than before. Every boss he defeated also rewarded him with 3,500 days of lifespan. His next objective was obvious. He would return to the city and sell all the items he had obtained. Shadow had only one goal, to become the first player to solo kill a platinum tier boss. Long story short, he successfully sold everything. The total lifespan he earned was nearly 40,000 days. Just as Shadow was about to leave, someone suddenly called out to him from behind. That person offered him an assassination mission, a request to kill someone in the real world. Shadow said nothing. He kept walking, as if he hadn't heard a thing. The man quickly stepped in front of him. Wait, boss, he said urgently. You only need to kill one person. Then he revealed the name, Sin Feng. He even offered the address. Shadow stopped. For a brief moment, his expression turned unreadable. He was confused, because his own name was also Sin Feng. Shadow looked at the man and asked calmly, Do you have a grudge against Sin Feng? Do you want revenge? The man shook his head. That's not important, he replied. What matters is finishing the job, and earning 3,000 days of lifespan. Shadow fell silent. 3,000 lifespan, that amount was worth nearly 50 million in the real world. Only someone with serious power would dare place such a bounty. There had to be a mastermind behind it. And one name surfaced immediately in his mind. Chen Sishi, the woman who wanted him dead. Shadow's lips curved slightly. This drama was becoming far more interesting. For now, he decided to follow the script Chen Sishi had prepared for him. Shadow agreed to accept the mission. But he had conditions. Half of the payment paid up front. And the final detail, he would be the one to decide the timing of Sin Feng's assassination. After a brief discussion, they reached an agreement. The upfront payment was transferred successfully. The man then handed over the address and detailed information about the target. Shadow turned away and continued leveling up. But suddenly, someone stopped him again. This time, it was a woman. She offered Shadow new information. The coordinates of a gold tier boss. Shadow agreed immediately. He offered 100 days of lifespan as an upfront payment. The woman led him toward the northern area of the city. As they walked, she explained the target. The boss you'll face is called the Plague Surrounder, the bringer of pestilence. At last, the two of them arrived at a hidden cave. The woman stopped and spoke quietly. The monster is inside. Without hesitation, they entered the cave together. After walking deeper and deeper, they finally reached the end. The woman pointed down toward a dark valley below. There, a terrifying creature stood still. It looked like a poisonous tree, twisted and corrupted. Shadow immediately transferred the agreed 100 days of lifespan. But suddenly, the woman spoke again. This is actually a trap. She confessed everything. Once Shadow started fighting the boss, other players were supposed to appear and kill him from behind. Her voice trembled as she told the truth. She had been threatened in the real world, forced by unknown people to lure Shadow into this cave and trap him. Shadow looked at her calmly and asked, Who's behind you? She hesitated for a moment, then answered, Dong Fong Xiang. Shadow recognized the name instantly. He was the same man who had given him a skill book back at City Hall. With the information confirmed, Shadow moved without delay. The battle began. This boss was extremely dangerous. It released toxic smoke that continuously drained players' HP just by being nearby. Shadow activated his skill, Divine Mercy Execution. In that instant, the monster's weakness became perfectly clear. It was located right at the center of its body. Without hesitation, Shadow struck the weak point using Shadow Flash Cut. The result was shocking. The boss's HP dropped instantly to just 1/4. Shadow then retreated upward. He deliberately left the boss alive with low HP. It was bait, and soon enough, the people targeting him appeared from behind. At that moment, the woman revealed her true class. She was a knight. She activated her skill, Golden Shield, and stepped forward, blocking all the players who tried to ambush Shadow. Without wasting a second, Shadow moved. He slaughtered them all with Shadow Fold Slash. And finally, he unleashed a deadly skill, Blossom Curse, a terrifying ability that drains lifespan from every player it kills. After the fight, the woman approached Shadow. She requested to add him as a friend. "I'll investigate the people targeting you in the real world," she said seriously. Then she added, "If you ever need special services, boss, come find me. For you, it will always be free." Shadow said nothing. He simply turned back toward the boss. With a single final strike, he finished the monster. The boss collapsed. Shadow gained a massive amount of XP, along with 555 days of lifespan that could be traded. As usual, he activated Greedy Hand to enhance the loot quality. The result was unbelievable. He obtained a Platinum Tier Assassin skill, Darkest Hour, a skill that ignites a blade of pure darkness, blinding all enemies within a 20-meter radius. At this point, Shadow had become even more powerful than before. On top of everything else, Shadow obtained a new weapon, a Platinum Tier Poison Dagger, possessed a special effect. Every strike would explode, and after 3 seconds, the poison would detonate inside the enemy's body. With this new weapon in hand, Shadow continued his goal, to raise his level as high as possible. He even casually killed SpongeBob and Patrick, who were relaxing nearby. For him, it was effortless. Eventually, Shadow met the requirements to evolve his class. The assassin evolution began. His class advanced, from Shadow rank 0 to rank 1. Once the evolution was complete, all of his attributes increased threefold. A global announcement appeared. The number of players who have reached level 10 has reached 7. The teleportation gate to the Forsaken Continent will open in 10 minutes. Moments later, the leaderboard appeared. Rank 1, Shadow rank 2, Grey Rose rank 3, Wang Meng's party. Meanwhile, in the real world, the police successfully captured a criminal group connected to Daejeon Corporation. The police chief personally thanked Shadow for providing extremely valuable information. Thanks to Shadow's intelligence, the number of victims was kept to a minimum. The police leadership even issued an order. They wanted to recruit Shadow to their side. Back in the game, Shadow continued moving forward. This time, his destination was clear, the Forsaken Continent. Without hesitation, he activated the portal. And in the next moment, he arrived. Before him lay the ruins of a familiar city. It was Zhonghai City, his former hometown. He hadn't walked far when suddenly, a monster appeared from behind. Without wasting a second, Shadow activated his skills and killed it instantly. The monster called for reinforcements. But it didn't matter. Shadow cut them all down with ease. One slash was more than enough. This new area was different. There were no safe zones, unlike the early stages of the game. Every monster here was hidden, ready to ambush players from any direction. However, there was one exception, a special refuge known as a shelter. Players could use these shelters as bases. They could be occupied, claimed, and turned into territory. Fortunately, Shadow knew exactly where the best shelter was located. In his previous life, it once belonged to his own guild. On the other side of the map, Wang Meng's party finally manages to enter the Forsaken Continent. The moment they arrive, they are completely shocked. Right in front of them are the ruins of their own city, exactly as it once existed inside the game. Before they can process what they're seeing, two monsters suddenly appear. Without warning, the monsters launch a brutal attack. But Wang Meng reacts instantly, blocking the assault with his shield. The mage quickly hands out healing potions to the team, keeping everyone alive. With precise coordination and a combination of attacks, they finally manage to defeat both monsters. After the battle, Wang Meng orders Chao Shu to scout the surrounding area using her ghost owl. What she sees leaves her speechless. The entire continent is completely overrun by giant worm monsters. There are countless numbers of them, and even worse, she can't spot a single safe zone anywhere. Hearing this report, the entire team falls into silence. They begin to wonder, how are they supposed to survive in a place like this? But then, the ghost owl notices something strange. Scattered across the land are the remains of a massive battle. Every monster in the area has been wiped out, leaving behind nothing but item loot. Chao Shu is certain of it. This can only be the work of one person, our protagonist, Shadow. The team captain immediately gives an order. They will follow the trail of destruction, confident that it will lead them straight to Shadow. Meanwhile, our protagonist finally reaches his destination, a hidden location, buried deep beneath the ruins. Below the surface lies a massive underground palace, with thousands of rooms and halls. Perfect place to become a future headquarters. However, before claiming it, the area must be completely cleared. The interior is filled with deadly traps, mechanical monsters, and powerful boss guardians. Only after defeating them all can a player truly take control of this place. In his previous life, our protagonist needed 18 elite players to conquer this location. But this time, he arrives alone. Shadow steps into the first hall known as the Net Soul Zone. The system issues a command. To gain control of this hall, Defeat the guardians within this area. The guardians slowly turn their gaze toward Shadow. Then, all at once, they charge forward, attacking him simultaneously. Shadow calmly activates his skill, Engraving of Darkness. In an instant, every enemy is stunned, completely unable to move. And then, the final strike, Shadow Slash. With a single swing, he cuts down every enemy in front of him. Just one slash is enough to kill them all. But this is only the beginning. This hidden base contains thousands of halls, each one requiring complete clearance. It will take a long time. Still, Shadow has no other choice. The experience points gained here are more than enough to significantly strengthen his skills. And once every lesser monster is eliminated, the final boss will finally reveal itself. Meanwhile, players from all over the world begin entering this newly unlocked area. Each group spawns inside the ruins of their former cities. American players appear in the ruins of New York City. Chinese players spawn within the destroyed city of Shancheng. And players from the United Kingdom emerge in the ruins of London. But just like always, they are immediately greeted by vicious and aggressive monsters. At the same time, Wang Meng's party hides behind the broken ruins nearby. They take a short break, slowly recovering their stamina. Everyone expresses their gratitude toward our protagonist. Thanks to him, every monster in this area has already been completely cleared. Meanwhile, the mage continues scouting the surroundings using her ghost owl. But something doesn't make sense. She notices that the monster tracks suddenly stop right in front of an alley, and then disappear entirely. She can't help but wonder why. Elsewhere, our protagonist is still busy hunting monsters. And finally, every monster inside the underground shelter has been completely eliminated. More than 40 halls and thousands of small rooms. In total, 400 monsters have been defeated by him alone. Not only that, he gains 80,000 XP and an incredible 205 evolution points. Suddenly, Wang Meng contacts him. Boss, are you nearby? We found a pile of monster loot you killed, and it hasn't been collected yet. How about we take it and pay you in lifespan based on the market price? Our protagonist agrees calmly. All right, I'll contact you again later. Coincidentally, I have something for your party as well. Suddenly, the entire hall begins to shake. It feels like the air itself has been struck by lightning. Our protagonist immediately understands. This is the sign that a guardian is about to appear. Standing before him is a boss monster named Soul Purifier, a level 15 platinum rank boss. The system issues a command. Defeat this boss to gain control of the shelter. This is the strongest boss in the area, with an enormous 750,000 HP. Without hesitation, he launches his attack. Shadow Slash. His blade cuts through the guardian, dealing massive damage. Next comes Throat Slash. He strikes directly at the neck, the guardian's weak point. The guardian roars and counterattacks. It forges a spear made of pure lightning, then unleashes a brutal barrage of attacks without mercy. With his limited equipment, our protagonist can't afford to be hit even once. A single direct strike would mean instant death. He focuses entirely on evasion. And the moment the boss lets its guard down, he strikes back with a powerful skill combination. The guardian's HP instantly drops by 250,000. That's when it happens. The guardian begins to evolve into its second phase. In this phase, the guardian becomes temporarily invulnerable, surrounded by multiple floating lightning orbs. As long as those orbs exist, the boss cannot take any damage at all. Reacting instantly, our protagonist uses Poison Dart. One by one, he destroys the lightning orbs. Each orb shattered fires a direct backlash into the guardian, rapidly draining its HP. And then, the guardian enters phase 3. In this final phase, it unleashes continuous, wide-area lightning attacks. The battlefield turns into a storm of electricity. Yet despite the chaos, our protagonist remains calm. He activates another skill. Slowly, his body lifts off the ground, and he begins to fly, hovering high in the air. Our protagonist immediately activates a powerful skill combination. Graceful Release. Dark Light Shield. Then, as his finishing move, he unleashes his ultimate attack. Shadow Blink/X. In a single instant, the guardian's head is severed. The boss collapses, dead on the spot. A system notification appears. Congratulations, you have defeated the guardian, Soul Purifier. Our protagonist instantly levels up to level 11. All attributes increase by +4 points. He gains 10 free attribute points, 20 evolution points, and 1,500 days of lifespan. But the rewards don't stop there. The system announces another achievement. He is officially the first player in the world to defeat a platinum rank boss. He earns a new title, Ruler of the Shelter Land of Purification. Along with it, a special feature is unlocked. From this shelter onward, players can now bring in-game items into the real world. In his previous life, our protagonist witnessed friends turning against each other, fighting endlessly for power. But this time, he refuses to walk the same path. He will climb to the top, alone. Soon after, an announcement echoes throughout City Hall. Shadow has defeated the world's first platinum boss. The entire player base is left speechless. Shadow is growing stronger day by day. Without wasting any time, our protagonist upgrades one of his core skills. Greedy Hand evolves from epic to legendary. The new effects are overwhelming. A 500% chance to obtain additional loot, a 100% chance for loot quality upgrades, and a new passive ability. Greedy Space, granting 100 extra inventory slots. Next, he summons his undead army. With a single command, he orders them to collect every piece of loot inside the palace and pile it all together. Everything becomes far more efficient. He continues upgrading his other skills as well. Shadow Veil, Backstab Boost, dark hour and blooming curse. Shortly after, someone contacts him. It's the woman our protagonist previously helped. She brings good news. The people targeting Shadow have finally logged out, and their major families are gathering for a meeting at a restaurant in Jiangnan. Meanwhile, the undead finish collecting all the scattered orbs, condensing them into a single pile. Our protagonist absorbs every item into his body. Now, it's time to convert everything into lifespan. He meets up with Wang Meng's party. Their leader, Anyu, purchases all the collected items for a total of 2,000 days of lifespan. Our protagonist agrees without hesitation. Next, he sells his silver, gold, and platinum items. The total price comes to 18,000 days of lifespan. The woman doesn't even hesitate. She agrees immediately and buys everything. As a bonus, our protagonist shares one final piece of information. In the center of the city, beneath the stone statue, there's a hidden staircase. It leads to a portal back to the starting city. But returning isn't free, he adds calmly. It costs 500 days of lifespan. After that, he turns and leaves. The woman shouts after him. Did you see that? Boss Shadow must be a reincarnator. How else could he know such secret information? Then she smirks and turns to her team. What do you think? Should I try flirting with Shadow? Her teammates stare at her, their expressions filled with pure disgust. Our protagonist continues his journey. This time, he begins extracting his power into the real world. The first phase is a success. 27,000 days of lifespan are consumed. His level synchronization with the real world is complete. Next, he extracts multiple skills one by one. Shadow Sneak, Backstab, Greedy Hand, Shadow Slash, Curse Blossom Flower, Dark Light Shield. After that, he begins extracting his equipment into the real world as well. Once everything is complete, our protagonist logs out of the game. He awakens in his bed. A thick, black aura slowly wraps around his body. Someone has already discovered his address. There's no time to hesitate. He needs to move to a safer location. Activating Greedy Hand, he stores every piece of furniture inside his apartment into his inventory. His next target is the man who has been hunting him, Dong Fangxian. According to the information he gathered, Dong Fangxian is currently dining with his entire family at a restaurant. Our protagonist leaps from the apartment building. He lands on the street below at full speed. Meanwhile, the Dongfang family is gathered inside the restaurant, celebrating. They discuss their plans to dominate the world by extracting in-game powers into reality. Unnoticed, Shadow arrives right in front of the restaurant entrance. Every guard stationed outside has already been eliminated. What surprises him most is what he sees next. Firearms. These people aren't ordinary players. Their influence in the city runs deep. He knows one thing clearly. With his current power, he still cannot fully evade bullets. He must proceed carefully. Shadow summons the undead. With a cold command, he orders them, enter, kill everyone inside. The undead crashes through the doors. The room erupts in chaos. People scream in terror. The guards open fire, emptying their pistols into the creature. But the bullets have no effect. The undead retaliates, unleashing green flames that engulf the guards. It goes on a rampage, attacking anyone in its path. Even the eldest leader of the Dongfang family is bitten fatally. One man attempts to escape, but suddenly our protagonist stands in his way. In a single instant, the man's head is severed, flying into the air. To finish everything, Shadow activates his final skill, Flower Blossom Curse. The curse drains every last drop of lifespan from those he kills. When the massacre ends, the system updates his total. He gains an additional 27,000 days of lifespan. When everything is finally over, not a single corpse remains. Everything is clean, completely erased. Moments later, police officers enter through the front door, responding to reports of violent noises. But when they step inside, they find nothing. No bodies, no blood, not even a single drop. The room is clearly destroyed. Tables are overturned. Chairs are scattered across the floor. Bullet marks cover the walls. Yet the victims themselves are nowhere to be found. Our protagonist calmly walks out of the restaurant. His next target is already decided, the Chen group. But before that, he returns to his room. He needs time to prepare. This time, he will repay every humiliation from his past. He logs back into the game to further strengthen himself. Suddenly, Wang Meng's party leader contacts him. She claims to have some very interesting information. One of her subordinates has discovered an entrance to a tomb. However, a powerful boss is guarding it, and they are unable to defeat it. Our protagonist asks calmly, "How did you find it?" She explains that one of her members fell behind while taking a detour. By pure accident, the subordinate fell into a pit, only to discover it was actually an entrance to a special tomb zone. Without wasting time, our protagonist asks for the coordinates. Soon after, he arrives at the location. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than an ordinary old well, but appearances are deceiving. This well is the entrance. Without hesitation, he jumps straight down. A system notification appears. You have arrived at the Tomb of Vengeance. Communication will be blocked. Inside the tomb, a boss monster blocks his path. A gold rank boss known as the Wraith. Without any warning, the boss swings its blade straight at him. Our protagonist reacts instantly, activating his skills and launching a relentless assault. He slashes the monster repeatedly, tearing its body apart. Its limbs are severed, shattered into countless pieces. But then, something unexpected happens. The severed hands begin to move, and in the next moment, they explode violently. Fortunately, our protagonist manages to evade the blast. He realizes his mistake. He had assumed the monster was dead far too soon. This time, he activates Greedy Hand. The rewards are substantial. Evolution points, lifespan, and multiple high-quality items. Among them, he obtains a platinum rank ring. Dark Ring Blade. This item coats his weapon with dark energy, allowing it to attack enemies within a 5-meter radius. Its rotating slashes form a defensive barrier around him, making it extremely effective for close combat and protection. He also acquires a platinum rank armor. Grudge Hide. Whenever he is attacked, it grants an additional 30 base attack points. In total, he collects 20 valuable items. If sold, they are worth 10,000 days of lifespan. With his gains secured, our protagonist presses forward. His journey is far from over. Meanwhile, our protagonist finally reaches the very end of the area. In front of him, something strange is waiting, a coffin-shaped box, standing silently, as if it has been expecting him all along. He summons an undead servant. Calmly, he orders the undead to approach the coffin and open it. Suddenly, a pitch-black shadow lunges forward, piercing straight into the undead's body. The undead screams in agony. At the same time, a system notification appears. A monster has emerged. Death Miasma Gold Rank Boss. This boss is extremely dangerous. It has no physical form and is completely immune to all physical attacks. But our protagonist doesn't panic. He remains calm, carefully analyzing his surroundings, waiting for the right moment. And then he activates his skill, Dark Ring Blade. He swings his blade in a wide circular motion, creating a protective ring around his body. At that exact moment, the monster's true form is finally revealed. It looks like a grotesque plant, its body covered entirely with countless eyes. Without wasting a second, the protagonist strikes. With just one decisive attack, the monster is instantly annihilated. As usual, he activates his skill once more, Greedy Hand. Using it, he enhances the quality of the item dropped by the boss. This time, he obtains a rare item, a bell, Mount Bell. In short, the bell he obtained is a special item. It allows him to summon a pet, a phantom wolf. Without wasting any time, our protagonist immediately summons the ghostly wolf. The wolf's attributes are surprisingly powerful. It can even use an invisibility skill, vanishing like a shadow itself. Curious, the protagonist mounts the phantom wolf and begins riding through the center of the city. The wolf moves incredibly fast, almost like the Flash, blazing through the streets in seconds. His next objective is clear: reach level 15. To do that, he heads toward a place known as the Duel Arena. This area is filled with powerful monsters, making it the perfect location for rapid leveling. Without hesitation, the protagonist leaps down from above, like Batman descending from the shadows. The moment he lands, he begins slaughtering every monster in sight. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Wang Meng's party is fighting monsters along the streets. Suddenly, one of their teammates reports something strange. He saw countless monsters already dead inside a building that looks just like a duel arena. Hearing this, the entire party rushes toward the location. When they finally arrive, they are completely stunned. Rare items and loot are scattered everywhere across the ground. The team captain immediately realizes the truth. This has to be the protagonist's doing. Without delay, he contacts him, requesting a meeting to buy items and skills. And then, the protagonist appears behind them, riding a massive, terrifying phantom wolf. The sheer presence of the beast is enough to make some party members freeze in fear, some of them instantly wetting themselves like little kids. Soon after, they begin their usual transaction. Take what's useful, leave what isn't. The leaderboard suddenly updates once again. At rank 1, our protagonist Shadow level 13. Rank 2, level 10. Rank 3, Wang Meng's party, level 10. Rank 4, level 10. After clearing the duel arena the day before, Shadow gains a highly valuable skill, a passive stealth ability. As long as he doesn't move, he remains permanently invisible. On top of that, he earns a massive amount of evolution points. Without wasting any time, Shadow immediately upgrades all of his skills. Venom Dart, upgraded. Mercy Kill, upgraded. But that's not all. He also obtains a new item, a necklace, Trickster Pendant, platinum rank. It grants plus 45 attack, plus 20 strength, plus 20 vitality, and plus 1 level to stealth. An insanely powerful item. However, as Shadow continues forward, he suddenly stops. Something behind a nearby building catches his attention. And there it is. A boss monster, Iron Saint. A living body of steel, filled with complex machinery and deadly weapons hidden inside. Even Shadow is surprised. Who in their right mind would dare to awaken such a lunatic boss? In his previous life, over 1,000 players tried to challenge Iron Saint, and every single one of them was completely wiped out. According to the information, this boss exists to guard a safe zone known as Church Sanctum. Shadow moves closer to observe. Up ahead, several players are already fighting the boss. One of them gets smashed by a massive axe, yet somehow still manages to strike a thumbs-up pose. His teammate shouts, "Hey bro, are you okay?" Moments later, every single challenger is brutally slaughtered by Iron Saint. But among the chaos, Shadow notices someone familiar. A player riding a white tiger, Chun Wu Ming, an old companion from Shadow's previous life, someone who once fought alongside him. But Chun Wu Ming is also known as a cruel and cunning player. Anyone who wanted to join his guild was forced to sign a slave contract, losing 50% of their lifespan as a so-called tax. And now, by pure coincidence, Shadow sees his chance to settle an old score. While the players are distracted fighting the boss, Shadow suddenly appears in the middle of them, and instantly activates his skill, Ring of Shadow Spiral. In the blink of an eye, Every player around him is slaughtered instantly. Everyone dies, except Chun Wu-ming. As Chun stands there, completely confused, Shadow is already behind him. Without hesitation, Shadow //. Chun Wu-ming is killed on the spot. And to finish it all, Shadow unleashes his most terrifying skill, Blossom Curse, a deadly ability that drains the remaining lifespan of every player he kills. All of them are sent back, forced to respawn in the city. Back in town, Chun Wu-ming's guild members explode with rage. They shout, demanding answers. Why were they killed? Why was Shadow targeting them? They refuse to accept it and swear revenge. But before anything else can happen, Iron Saint suddenly attacks Shadow. Shadow instantly dodges upward, preparing his counterattack. A devastating combo is unleashed, each massive strike draining huge chunks of the boss's HP. Finally, Shadow uses Throat Slash. Iron Saint's HP drops to only 1/4 remaining. And then, the most horrifying phase begins. Phase 2. As Iron Saint's HP nears 0, a seal breaks. A demon emerges from within its body, preparing to take full control. From this moment on, any damage dealt to the boss is reflected directly back to the attacker. A completely unfair mechanic. Like the boss is using a cheat code, bro. However, Shadow already understands the boss's weakness. He has figured it out. The damage reflection only activates when the boss is being attacked while it is not attacking. Which means, to avoid the reflected damage, Shadow must strike only at the exact moment the boss attacks. At that moment, a new group of players arrives on top of a nearby building. Their leader is a player known as Safety First. They see that the boss's HP is critically low, but Shadow's presence is nowhere to be found. Assuming Shadow has already abandoned the fight, Safety First orders one of his teammates to scan the surrounding area. The mage activates his skill, summoning a rabbit-like familiar. The creature hops around the boss zone, carefully checking every corner. Soon, the mage reports back. I've checked everywhere. Shadow is not detected. Believing Shadow has truly left, Safety First jumps down to finish the boss himself. He's a famous player, a well-known live-streaming gamer, highly skilled at games like this. The boss swings its massive axe, but Safety First dodges smoothly, with flawless timing and style. Suddenly, the boss extends a hidden mechanical arm and slams it down toward him. Once again, Safety First dodges, rolling forward effortlessly. He keeps rolling across the battlefield, almost like a billiard ball in motion. His teammates shout in excitement, completely amazed by their captain's skills. As the boss weakens further, Safety First prepares his finishing move. He activates his skill, Moonlight Dance. A violent storm of rapid slashes rips through the boss's body. Every strike lands perfectly, but there's one thing he doesn't realize. The boss can still reflect damage. When the attack ends, and Safety First lands gracefully, his body is suddenly torn apart. He is shredded by his own reflected attack. His entire party freezes in shock, watching their captain die to his own skill. What they don't know is this. While Safety First was attacking the boss, Shadow was still there, attacking only when the boss attacked, avoiding the reflection entirely. But then, the boss suddenly turns around. It begins moving toward the church, attempting to retreat and regenerate its health. Shadow narrows his eyes. He won't allow that to happen. Not now. And then, Shadow finally reveals himself. Everyone turns their head toward him, staring in pure awe. For the first time, they see the one who has been controlling the battlefield from the shadows. Shadow activates his skin ability, forming a protective layer around his body to counter the damage reflection. At that exact moment, the monster swings its massive axe. This is it. Shadow unleashes his final attack, combining all of his skills in one decisive strike. Shadow Slash. The monster's body begins to tremble. A dark purple light erupts from its core. But it's not dead yet. The boss suddenly launches itself into the air and releases a blast of hellfire. Shadow dodges in time but still takes some damage. The monster crashes back down, preparing to attack once more. Shadow doesn't hesitate. He charges forward brutally, slashing again and again. And finally, the boss collapses. Iron Saint is defeated. Shadow receives 48,000 EXP and 120 evolution points. But that's not all. He hits the jackpot. The main reward, a sanctuary key, granting control over a safe zone in this region. Shadow immediately activates his skill, Greedy Hand. He obtains an emerald rank armor. Not only that, he also gains a new skill, Assassin Instinct Emerald rank. This skill allows him to detect enemies even while they are invisible. Without hesitation, Shadow upgrades it. Assassin Instinct from Emerald to Legendary. He also upgrades Ghost Blur, pushing it from Epic to Legendary. Moments later, Wang Meng's party arrives at the scene. As usual, Shadow offers the items he has obtained. No unnecessary talk. The female captain agrees instantly, buying the item for the price of 45 years of lifespan. Then, Shadow presents a special offer. A safe zone shelter. Yes, the church itself. A massive area, covering nearly 800 hectares. The female captain pauses, then asks, "How much? Are you planning to sell this for?" Shadow replies calmly, "Discuss it with your group and the authorities. Decide on a price. Then contact me." Just then, the female captain shares some disturbing information. Her group has just received news. 7 gold rank bosses have gathered in a single location. They've already slaughtered countless players in the area. She explains that players have tried to separate the bosses. But no matter what they do, the monsters revive and regroup instantly. Shadow's expression darkens. He seems to understand something. Maybe, an ancient mechanism has been triggered. Something buried deep within an old stone relic. Shadow doesn't hesitate. He asks for the coordinates and immediately sets off toward the next battlefield. He immediately mounted his wolf and headed straight toward the destination. However, on the way, he noticed something unexpected. It was his younger sister, being beaten and bullied by female members of a guild. But the protagonist didn't stop. He didn't interfere. Without hesitation, he continued forward, entered the portal, and left the area behind. Moments later, he arrived in a city he had never seen before. The place was surprisingly crowded, but almost everyone there was elderly. As he observed the surroundings, he saw an old woman being saved from a monster. The guard stepped in, but instead of gratitude, they demanded payment. Not money. They asked for a portion of the old woman's remaining lifespan. The woman immediately became furious. She refused to give up even a single year of her life. Seeing this, the protagonist calmly stepped forward. In an instant, he grabbed the old woman and threw her outside the city gate. But it didn't end there. Without mercy, he drew his weapon and killed her on the spot. Then his presence vanished into the shadows. His cold voice echoed, "Take the 72 years. That was your original deal." Only then did the truth become clear. The people there, including the guards, were members of the Mengsha River Guild, a social-type guild created to help elderly players survive in this brutal game. Shadow chose to help them. He knew the world was about to descend into chaos, and people like them, the truly good ones, needed protection. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the stepsister's friend was fighting a monster alongside her family. She and her mother cast spells from behind, while her father charged forward, slashing with his blade. Together, they finally defeated the monster. They were a good family, simple people. They never caused trouble and never harmed anyone. But then, without warning, an arrow pierced the father's body. He died instantly. They had become victims of a player killer, someone testing a newly acquired weapon. The player killer stepped forward and demanded something horrifying. "Hand over all your remaining lifespan." The woman and her mother refused. They declared they wouldn't give up even a single day of their lives. Angered, the player killer ordered his subordinates to attack. In less than a second, both of their heads were severed. Even the captain of the player killers lost his head instantly. And standing in the shadows behind it all was Shadow. But it didn't stop there. The protagonist activated the flower curse, draining every remaining year of life from the surviving player killers. The woman thanked him desperately, grateful for being saved. But Shadow didn't respond. He vanished without a word, leaving behind the lifespan that had dropped from her father's body. Soon after, the protagonist finally reached his destination. In front of him, 7 boss monsters stood gathered together. Without hesitation, he summoned the undead and ordered them to advance. The undead charged forward, engulfed in eerie green flames, and attacked the boss monsters. But the attack had no effect at all. Suddenly, a pitch-black shadow struck the undead. In an instant, their bodies ignited, and they were completely destroyed. Seeing this, the protagonist prepared himself. He activated his skill, Dark Knight. The entire area was dyed crimson red. In a single motion, he slashed through the necks of every boss monster. They all collapsed, disappearing without a trace. However, no loot dropped. Then, something strange happened. The corpses of the boss monsters began to gather together, merging, growing larger and larger. The boss had evolved into a mutant form. According to the information, symbols appeared across its body. Cryptic message. To defeat it, players had to attack in a specific order. Shadow calmly analyzed the pattern. Then, he began striking each mark one by one, in perfect sequence. When the final strike landed, the boss screamed in agony, green blood bursting from its body. Suddenly, the creature vanished. From behind, countless coffins emerged, forming a massive circle. It was the final phase. Each coffin bore the same markings. They had to be destroyed in the correct order just like before. Shadow didn't hesitate. In mere moments, he slaughtered them all. Shadow's prediction was correct. Truly was a cursed stone. From the boss he had just defeated, his level increased to level 14, and he gained 294 evolution points. But the most valuable reward of all was the ancient god inscription stone. Sealed within this relic was the curse power of the ancient calamity god, Euthos. The rule for using it was simple. One curse could be applied to one item. It would grant a powerful buff, but at the same time, it would also impose a negative effect. This time, the protagonist applied it to his armor. After that, as usual, it was time to upgrade his skills. He enhanced Shadow Flash to the legendary tier. With this upgrade, he gained a new effect. Every successful slash that hit an enemy granted 1 protective stack, equal to 100% defense, up to a maximum of 9 stacks. Once everything was complete, the protagonist returned to the ruined city. There, he saw his younger sister still being bullied and beaten. The bullies were so relentless that their backs ached, and their hands had swollen from striking her. Meanwhile, his stepsister could do nothing but cry. Desperate, she tried to use her power, healing. But no one expected this. She targeted the wrong person. Instead of healing herself, she healed the protagonist. As a result, her own life force collapsed. She fell into critical condition, on the verge of meeting the creator himself. Elsewhere, within the ruins of the Magic City, another scene was unfolding. A party of players was engaged in a fierce battle against a boss monster. From a distance, Chen Sishi's group watched silently. The moment the boss's health dropped to a sliver, they attacked from behind. They slaughtered the players mercilessly, then stole the boss for themselves. That woman was one of Shadow's targets. She seemed to have a particular fondness for large, muscular men. With a twisted smile, she ordered her subordinates to log off immediately and enjoy themselves in the real world. They were even preparing to celebrate the founding of their new temple. Alice, yeah, if you know. Meanwhile, the female captain contacted Shadow once again. She claimed that she had already set a price for the hideout's location. Shadow asked calmly, "How much?" She answered, 1,500 years. Shadow immediately rejected it. "Too low. I'm not interested." The woman hesitated, then raised the price. 2,000 years. Those around her agreed, and she requested a meeting beneath the statue at the center of the city. The deal was made. Shadow received 2,000 years of lifespan, while the female captain gained a safe zone inside the ruined city. After that, the protagonist extracted all of his skills into the real world. Then he logged out. When he woke up, he found himself locked inside an iron cage. It turned out he had been captured by a group of thugs. They demanded that he hand over all of his remaining lifespan. Shadow didn't waste words. In an instant, he destroyed the entire building. The structure collapsed along with every thug inside. Moments later, Shadow walked out calmly, casually eating instant noodles. Yeah, the guy really became a food mukbang legend. Meanwhile, Chen Sishi was enjoying herself. Her legs trembled, but her expression was filled with pleasure, as she was accompanied by two large, muscular men. Suddenly, she received a message from Shadow. Xin Feng, her target, was already dead. Shadow requested a direct meeting to hand over Xin Feng's head. But Chen Sishi was cunning. She refused to meet in person. Instead, she wanted confirmation first and decided to meet inside the game. She sent her coordinates to Shadow. The protagonist immediately logged back in. Using invisibility, he positioned himself on top of a nearby building. Below him, Chen Sishi stood waiting, surrounded by a group of men wearing white robes. She addressed the men loudly. Then, she boldly opened her coat and shouted, "We, the Alice Guild, will purge all weak men from this place." The men in white looked thrilled. They were confident, certain that no one would dare cause trouble against Guild Alice. With a mocking tone, Chen Sishi shouted again, "Anyone with courage, come to me." At that moment, Shadow descended from above. Without warning, he activated his skill, Dark Knight, Ring Blade. In a single instant, every man in white was slaughtered. Silence fell. Shadow slowly walked toward the woman. Then, with a calm voice, he greeted her. "Hello, I'm Shadow." Chen Sishi was completely mesmerized the moment she laid eyes on Shadow. She was clearly captivated. One of the muscular men stepped forward, trying to greet him. "Hey, Mr. Shadow. Good to finally see you." But in the next instant, his head vanished. The two men collapsed to the ground, dead before they even understood what happened. Shadow spoke calmly. "All right, now it's safe. Let's begin the transaction." Chen Sishi smiled and asked softly, "Where is Xin Feng's head? Did you bring it with you, my dear?" Shadow replied without emotion. "I have it, but I can't bring it into the game. If you want to see it, you can check it in the real world." The woman didn't mind. She already trusted Shadow's strength. She sent the remaining payment, 1,500 days of lifespan. Shadow turned away, ready to continue his mission. But Chen Sishi's interest only grew stronger. She offered him a new job, another assassination. This time, she requested a direct meeting at her residence. She told Shadow to wait at the city's harbor. That night, the protagonist arrived at a luxury yacht. He spoke to the guard calmly. "I'm here to see Ice of Space." Inside, Chen Sishi welcomed him, wearing a stunning red dress. From that moment, she began to tease him openly. She handed him a drink. Shadow took it and drank every last drop. Chen Sishi laughed softly. She claimed the drink contained her special recipe. Her behavior became bolder, wilder. She was clearly impatient, eager to have him all to herself. But suddenly, Shadow's body burst into green flames. At the same time, another shadow appeared behind her. He spoke calmly. The woman froze in shock. "Why are you here, Xin Feng? Didn't you already die, killed by Shadow?" Shadow replied coldly. "How ridiculous. I am Shadow." She turned her gaze toward the first shadow. Only then did she realize the truth. That figure was merely an undead follower, disguised by Shadow. The corpse swayed strangely, looking drunk and disturbingly happy. That bro looked like it could fly at any moment.